Reminds people what they did.
Speaking of active, here we are, live and active on the YouTube.
Yeah, on the YouTube.
On the YouTube.
Now, I did just recently have a birthday, which does make me older, and I could technically say the YouTube because of my age, but I probably should not, Shane.
Welcome to the club. Welcome to the club. Yep. Fair.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah. So, look how beautiful it is outside.
It's wonderful. It looks amazing. Sun is out. It's great. It's great.
We don't have very many like gray, wet days in the Carolinas, but when we do, man, because every leaf has fallen and all the bark is gray, it's just not fun.
It's a little dreary. A little dreary.
Yeah. Is the sun out in the South Carolinas?
It is out. It is out. So the sun's coming your way. It's headed that way. It's on the way.
Right.
2 hours from now, you'll see it.
Yeah. All right. Well, what is not headed our way is money when we write content from a content writer. That was a very bad segue, I know, but we're just going to go with it.
Here we are.
Here we are. So Shane and I had to learn the hard way that one size does not fit all in the content writing space. So it was only after lots of testing and lots of listening to our market that we both started to land on content that people responded to, like really responded to, like actually cold market got on the phone with us, cold market bought our stuff.
Yeah.
Converting, not like what Facebook ads convert, their little conversion metric in the ad thing or Google's conversion metric in the ad column to a click. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about like real conversion to actual value for value, money for the value of our expertise. So Shane, do tell about your own content.
Favorite content mistakes?
Yeah.
Favorite content mistakes?
Yeah, go ahead. Let's just tell everybody our
content mistake number one that I made was buying content templates. So, there were these templates that had different, and I'm just using air quotes here, just different pitches, right?
Yeah.
So there's like pitch number 1, pitch number 2, pitch number 3. And so it was just kind of like plug and play, here's the stuff. And then I put my name in there, and then here's the stuff. And I put my service in there, and then here's the stuff. And I put, what's going to happen if you don't take action now. That was my number one content mistake, was buying content templates and like thinking it was just cut and paste and it was going to convert into money. Didn't happen. Not only did it not happen, Amy, I got no response. I didn't even go away from, no, people had to have been reading it, but like, you got to be kidding me. Delete. Delete.
Yeah. That's not good. Yeah.
That was number one mistake.
Well, my content mistake was believing that shorter is better.
Okay. So like be brief, be bright, be gone.
Yeah. Be in a commercial. Like that was, like where it's 1 or 2 sentences, or it's a overproduced picture with content over the top of it.
Yes.
That was my mistake.
Okay.
Big mistake.
Can I tell you another one?
Tell us.
Because it kind of goes along with your mistake. It's kind of like the combination of my big mistake and your mistake you just shared. So I was told, like, hey, what you really need to do is you need to have like, kind of like a little a brochure kind of thing that you put together that kind of like tells your story, So if you just tell your story, and at the end you just give them the big, like, here's all my stuff, and then they'll buy. Didn't buy. No. Spent all kind of time and energy learning Canva to lay things out, pictures, all the stuff. Buy my things. Nope. Nobody bought. Nobody
Nothing.
bought. Nope.
Yeah. And weren't you in the company you came out of, where you and 2 other guys had really built that thing to, what was it? 22 million, 32 million?
32 million.
32 million. Didn't you all have an interaction with the Story brand
We did.
company?
We did.
Yeah. And what was the results of that learning?
Mistake number 3.
Tell me about it.
So the result was no increase in sales, none, zero. Like, in fact, we continued to decline. Like, so we had already begun to see decline at the point where we engaged StoryBrand, and that process, we paid for someone to come in and walk us through the process so we could get it right.
Yeah.
Didn't work. Like, it was the process where, you define, I'm the hero, and there's a villain, and you're the person I'm going to rescue, here and all. And what was interesting is it was all from my perspective, what I thought about them.
Yep.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yep.
Totally
yeah,
missed it.
It is interesting.
Totally missed it. Yeah.
Well, I'm curious. The reason why I asked about that was not to put a negative light, but it truly is a mistake. These are all mistakes that we have made, but that we see reoccurring day in and day out with clients coming into the Ascend program, people we talk to that own businesses. Is there is a true, I would say, myth in the marketplace that you can buy someone else's content and plug and play, and you're going to get massive returns on investment.
Yeah.
And it just isn't that way. And I believe that some of the secrets to why it doesn't work can be found in Copywriting Secrets by Jim Edwards. And I only became familiar with this book. It's been just over a year ago. A client brought it to my attention, said, "Hey, have you ever read this book?" I said, "No, I have not even heard of this guy." And he said, "You've got to read it because he talks about a lot of the things you do." Now, he is a copywriter, but I love what he says. He actually quotes somebody else in his book, Shane. I don't know if you remember this chapter, but at the opening of each chapter, there's a quote, and he quotes this guy named Howard Gossage that said, "I don't know how to speak to everybody, only to somebody." And this is really, really important when it comes to content marketing, because content marketing is not like other writing. Like, when you're writing marketing, when you're writing sales copy, that's technically what it's called, where you are trying to connect with someone at an authentic level, help them see that you know how to solve a problem that they know they have, or give them a solution they haven't been able to find yet, and draw them into a conversation. That's what sales copy is, right?
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, Jim Edwards says that sales copywriting is anything intended to persuade the right reader, viewer, or listener to take a specific action. That right reader, viewer, or listener is the secret. Now, he does not dive into his book of how to get there, but that's the very first thing that I did with you, and I do with every single client. We have to get to the right audience.
Yes.
Right? We can't talk to everybody on the internet because the algorithms don't allow us. We have to know who we're talking to, what they need, what they want to hear, and what their vocabulary is. So when they read it, it feels familiar to them. Otherwise, they just keep on going.
Yes.
Right?
They don't even get through the content before they move on.
That's right. Oh my gosh. And I think the mistake that people are making, Shane, primarily is online, is that they believe someone else's formula, like you and I have done at some point. I hired a copywriter. You bought somebody's copywriting templates. We really believe, and have believed in the past, that someone else's formula, content, or copywriting process will actually satisfy my audience and convince them to buy, because, quite frankly, I'm not a writer. Right. That's what we tell ourselves.
That's right.
I'm not a writer. Let me hire a writer. But this is not like writing a book. This is different because your audience, Shane, and my audience stands on its own. My audience is not going to respond to what your audience will respond to, and vice versa. Right. Why? Because they each have their own personality, problems, and desired outcomes.
Hey, those three are big: personality, problems, and desired outcomes.
Yep. Yeah. And I know that we spend a lot of time on those. I mean, all of our time in the marketing and on the model are spent on those three things. And the fourth component to that we spend time on is, how am I good at solving this problem, getting this desire done? And am I in line? Do I have harmony with this audience personality?
Yes, that's good right there.
Right? I mean, how many times have you hired, or, you've said yes to someone, Shane, that's reached out for help, and you're like, man, I got to give them their money back. Not because I can't help them, but we're not harmonizing in our personality.
Yes. There's three that immediately come to my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Immediately.
Yeah, there's one big one that comes to my mind.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yep. And the reality is that we have to understand that. If we don't understand that, our content may get responses, but they'll be drippy and drabby at best.
Right.
That's
right. Yep.
So we want to just give you a snippet of information, because this really will help you. Is that within your audience, you're going to have three different groups. So first is the group that knows you. This is what we call the warm market. So they're like, hey, I like Amy. I'm opting into her email list. I'm watching her podcasts. I'm reading her content. I am responding to Shane. I'm commenting on his stuff. And I'm generally intrigued by what this guy says, right? That is a warm market. They're typically on your email list, or they're already a connection on some social platform. Okay. The second group includes the list of people that is looking for a solution to a problem and doesn't know about you yet. So they don't even know that you have the solution to the problem yet. Okay. But they know that they have a problem. They're aware I have a problem. They're seeking the solution, but they haven't come across you yet. And then the third group knows they have a problem, but needs to be made aware that there's actually a solution. So they're saying to themselves, I mean, is there really a way out of this? Okay. That's what they're asking themselves. They haven't even begun to look for the solution, or when they do, it's just not returning what they need. So we actually know without a shadow of a doubt that we capture all three of those groups just through our testing phase. I mean, wouldn't you say that you have that confidence, Shane? Or am I misspeaking?
Yeah, I would say that, because regardless of which of those three categories, when we're talking about the personality, there are shared values and behaviors that all three of those groups have. That when we speak to them in the methodology that you've laid out, Amy, when we speak to them, it resonates across that. Contextually, it might be different, but that's circumstantial. But this method that you've created allows us to speak to them uniquely. Based off of that research. Yeah. I don't know if that's confusing what I just said or not. I'm sitting here thinking about, like, I wonder if that's confusing what I just said. Might be confusing.
Well, there could be another way for us to explain this. We're trying to not tell you every single step, because you wouldn't be able to assimilate it. I mean, it's simple, but it's complex to a mind that hasn't practiced this process. I mean, it's a bit out of the ordinary when it comes to understanding the audience, and then how to capture that audience, and then how to measure if you have all three of those people in your audience. How do you know that? Right? Like we know that because of the research that we do that goes beyond the demographics. We know that because of the metrics that tell us that these three people are in our research group or within our audience. And finally, we know that we are capturing all three of these groups in our audience because the conversions to a sale tell us that.
Well, okay. Said. Much better.
So that's the look, Amy is not as intellectually stimulating as Shane. Okay. So I got to bring it down. So to Amy lingo.
Another way to say that is Shane is overly complex at times.
Not at all. Not at all. So that would be the simplest way to say it, is there has to be research that is really scientific, that really captures the personality, the problem, and the desired outcome.
Yeah.
And that is not a rinse and like, it can be rinse and repeat once you know how to do it, but it's not something you can go Google to find out.
No.
Okay.
Can't buy it on shelf.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
Then there is a way to test that research phase that tells us if we have landed on this audience's personality, problem, and desire. And then there is numbers that tell us if we are consistently landing on the personality, problem, and desire, which would result in, so we test that organically. And then once we move to paid ads, which eventually at some point in your business, you will have to use some sort of paid option. Okay. There, you cannot get beyond, $100,000 in revenue. Maybe you could get beyond $150,000 in revenue without starting to pay for some part of that process to be financed, right? It could be an additional person for labor hours and you're paying for that. It could be paid ads. Either way, the person or the robot are given the information we learned in the research phase about the content that's converting to a sale. And so the result comes down to one audience, one body of content, one image, and one subject. And I gave my clients 2 flip files of ads that over the course of the years have actually returned to us $430,000 in revenue. 2 ads, 2. And I don't say that to like impress you. I say that to impress upon you that the whole idea of rinse and repeat content templates, or content writers that write for one brand. So why couldn't they write for your brand? Because you're not a writer. Both of those mistakes are going to affect the return on investment with your content.
Well said.
So I will say that there is a outline that we have found gets those returns, but it's not a fill in the blank. It's not even a linear outline. That's like right. When I showed my clients, okay, see, all of these elements of this outline are in this body of content, but it's not in order, which is what we think, right? But there's some science behind people that read content online. And that science is the subject in an ad and the picture is what gets people, or the headline and the photo is what gets people to stop the scroll. What keeps them reading is the first line of the copy, right? So we will test one body of content with multiple images and different subjects, different headlines, different first lines to draw them down to the call to action. Because that's ultimately what we want people to do in content marketing, is take the action we're putting in front of them, which is, hey, come over here and let's see if I can help you. And if I can, then pay me.
Yes.
Which, by the way, is a very good thing to be good at. It's a very good thing to be good at. It's where people are. They're online. Get good at reaching those people. And you don't have to be grammatically exquisite either, because right. I just this year invested in Grammarly because I was like, Amy, like, okay, girl, you need some input, right? Nobody has said anything. It's continued to convert, but I don't like to come off like I don't grammatically have my stuff together, because I'm just writing and then I'm just publishing, you know, which tells you too can do this if you know the personality, problem, and desire of your clientele, and you know how to help them, which really is the kicker, right, Shane? Like you can't just duct tape some content together and suddenly people are going to pay you.
That's right. No.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
That's right. That's right.
Is there anything you want to leave us with, Sensei?
I would say if you have yet to find a process that delivers the type of results that Amy is sharing with you, I would say follow the link that Amy's going to put together under this post to learn more about how you can go through this research, how you can learn more about the personality of the people who you really want to work with, how you can clearly identify what their problem is based off of the research that she helps you do. This turned my business around. I mean, Amy, it's no joke. I mean, I told you the first time we met, I'd made $1,000 and it was going nowhere fast. I was burning through cash, and this changed my business incrementally over time for the better in ways I couldn't even imagine. And I can't thank you enough. And I want people who are like me to get better connected to you so that you can help them the way you did me too.
Well, I paid you well to say that. No, I'm just kidding. No, you guys, that was a complete
Venmo, right?
surprise.
Okay, I just want to make.
If I don't laugh, I'm going to cry because I'm a big ball baby. That was so kind of you. You're so kind.
Hey, for real. Content matters. Content matters. And you may not perceive yourself to being an expert on a content writing, scale today. But I'm telling you, your definition of expert might be distorted based off of what you've seen, these myths that you've seen out there, the mistakes that you've heard that Amy and I've made. Maybe you've made them. That doesn't make you someone who cannot improve in this area, because there is a methodology that is proven that over time you can learn and you can deliver content to your audience and it be effective. You just need some support along the way, like I did.
That's right. That's right. Well, until next time, we will see you here